Good morning. Myself, Duana, McArdle, Catherina, Brady and Margaret, Duggan are delighted to be here today to describe the journey and work of mental health engagement across 3 CHO areas. In our work, we stand on the shoulders of giants who have come before us in the area of service user and family involvement, the work of consumer panels and of a movement to increase meaningful engagement of people in mental health services. This presentation isn't really about us as individuals. We're lucky to have some people who are involved in their local forum meetings in their area to speak this morning. This is what ignites the fire in our bellies to continue and develop the work. I suppose we often talk about shoes and walking when we talk about engagement and recovery, and the best message I ever heard about service user involvement was if you wanted to know if a pair of shoes were comfortable or how comfortable they were, you wouldn't ask the person who sells the shoes or makes the laces or the leather, but the person who wears the shoes day in, day out. So I'm just going to pass you over to Margaret now, who's going to tell us a little bit about her area.
Thank you, Duana. My name is Margaret Duggan and I'm the area lead for CHO7. As you know, that's Kildare, West Wicklow, Dublin West, Dublin South City and Dublin South West. When I read that, it actually frightens me because when you see the population size, 674, I actually think it's more than that. As the area lead, my role mainly is the implementation of the structures for engagement with family members and the people who use the mental health services. Currently, we have 3 local forums set up in this area. We have one in the Kildare, West Wicklow area, and that meets in Naas. And I'm very happy to see there are some members from the Naas local forum here this evening, and also some members from the Kildare West Wicklow services who are very much involved in making this successful and have been huge support to me and to mental health engagement in making mental health engagement a reality and bringing service users and family members to the table where decisions are made. That's the one in Kildare West Wicklow. Also, there are some colleagues of mine here from the TALA services. We also service providers, mental health professionals who've worked with me to set up the TALA local forum and indeed members of the local forum. So that is great to have them here. We also have a local forum in Kilmainham which serves the St James's services. That is the mental health services aligned to St James's Hospital. And we have some members here as well, and some members from the mental health professionals who have done some great work to help me to get that up and running. Before I hand you over to my colleague Catherina, I'd just like to emphasise, I suppose, the graphic we have here for the road, for the journey, and that is the theme of our short presentation to you today in terms of the engagement journey that we're all on, and particularly the recovery journey. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon or good morning, I'm not sure at this stage. My name is Catherina Brady and I'm the area lead for this area, CHO9, which is Dublin North City and County. And the way I like to think of it, or the way it's been phrased, it's anywhere north of the Liffey out to Balbriggan. So a small area, but a huge population again. And I'm also delighted to see so many familiar faces in the audience and so much support from the local forums who are in development and are established. The North Dublin Forum, which currently meets in Raheny, and the CAMS Forum, which we're beginning to develop with coffee mornings in Swords. And the next one on the agenda is Blanchardstown. So I'll hand you over to my colleague Duana.
So I got the lion's share in terms of the geography, and I got 6 counties: Louth, Meath, Longford, Westmeath, Laois and Offaly. In this area I support the Louth Meath Consumer Panel, and I'm developing forums in Longford, in Westmeath, in Laois, with a view to progress in Offaly at a point. So the thing that unites the three of us in our work and the work of everybody that's involved is the humanity and the human experiences of people, the inspiring stories and people that we encounter in our local forum meetings. And it's this which, as a collective, drives us to work to try to find ways to translate those stories into powerful action. So I'm going to pass you back to Margaret now.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about ourselves and our own personal journeys to standing in front of a group of people this size, which is daunting indeed. I support a family member who has suffered severe and mental health enduring problems. And that has been a long road for me and for him in his journey. And it was just so fantastic to sit here and listen to Marina Bowe and to Margaret talk about their huge commitment to the recovery model. And I suppose what I can say now, looking back, if I only knew then what I know now. But their message of hope is massive, and I take that message of hope. And I suppose I can add to that in that I see huge recovery in my own family now by adopting the recovery model, by actually finding work. And we haven't found a place to live yet. We're still at home with Mammy and Daddy, but there is, hope that we will manage that as well. So, through my journey with my son and with the rest of my family as we coped with the catastrophic effects of mental illness in our family, I was very fortunate to come into contact with a recovery-oriented program called OLAS. And I'm sure lots of you have experience here of OLAS, and it's a program that I'm very thankful to as well, because it was through my participation in the OLAS program that I actually learned what recovery was, or began to think about what recovery was, and learned to ask, and I won't say demand, but persistently ask for the services that are there, but that an awful lot of people are not aware of that are there. So, and when I think about the journey also, I think about the not knowing and the resistance. I think about being lost and also being afraid, and encountering stigma, and indeed stigmatizing myself. And that is what OLAS, together with my role now as area lead, has helped me to overcome. I'll hand you over now to Catherina, who'll talk about her journey. Thank you.
Thanks, Margaret. I suppose my journey, I'm coming from different paths to this road or to this journey of mental health engagement. So when I was filling out the application for this position, it said, can you outline your experience of maybe a family member, your self-experience of mental health difficulties? And I said it to a sibling of mine, and he said, you're going to need more paper. But I don't think that's anything dissimilar to anybody else in the room. Mental health exists in the same way that physical health exists. And it exists for everyone on lots of different levels at different times in their lives. Like I say, I come from different paths. I have a sister who has a learning difficulty and also a mental health issue. Also, I've used art myself for my own recovery. And then I became an art therapist, and I worked in the service, in mental health services in CHO7, Kildare, West Wicklow, for 15 years. So I suppose but it's very different being a service provider and being on the other side of the service. So I'm coming at it from two different angles. So I suppose that's my journey to here today, and it's good to be here.
So with my journey, I'm the youngest of 9 children. So I had to, from a young age, learn strategies to be heard. So this has become very useful working in the HSE. I also have lived experience of a family member. So this sort of, again, I spoke about earlier, lights the fire in the belly. And then having a background in community development also helps to light that fire, because I have a deep grounding in the knowledge that people, whether they're in this room or in another room, that they want to be part of the world they live in and to have power and autonomy in their own lives. I suppose we're just a vehicle in this drive to bring some of this to people's experiences in mental health services.
So this first slide, the mental health engagement journey, and I think Marina Bowe mentioned it. This is the first picture here on the slide is of an old corridor. And it looks like something from bygone eras, but it actually wasn't that long ago. It was 2002 when I started working in St. Loman's Mental Health Hospital. And as you can see, it's, I suppose it is a typical old institution or asylum. And I suppose what I've noticed over the last few years is that very much at that time, recovery wasn't really a word that was mentioned. It wasn't really on the agenda. And since that time, since 2002, 2006 with Vision for Change to what's called today, we've very much moved further along this path, along this road. And I suppose it's kind of symbolic that the Office of Mental Health Engagement, the Service Reform Fund, and the Advance and Recovery in Ireland now sit in this site in the old St. Loman's Hospital. And I suppose shine a light, hopefully, on the future of recovery, along with all the people who are in the audience today. So, I'll get Margaret to introduce Rita.
I'd like to call on Rita, who's going to talk to us a little bit about her journey as a mental health professional for mental health engagement. Thank you, Rita.
A very little bit. My name is Rita, and I'm here today as the voice of the service provider. And I'm going to talk to you about my involvement in the establishment of our local forum in Kildare, West Wicklow. And it has been a very, very positive experience for me, because it gave me the opportunity to hear from those with first-hand experience of using our services, what they want from those services and from those who deliver them. I have many years nursing experience, and I suppose in that capacity trying to listen and understand the needs of those same service users, but in that professional capacity. My work with the local forum gives me a very different perspective to that same listening and trying to understand. And it's work that has given me renewed energy and enthusiasm for working within mental health services. Thank you.
And the last slide, I suppose, is we'll talk about in the next slide, if that makes any sense. No.
When you look at the title of this slide, it says Our End Journey. And actually, when Catherina and I were looking at this yesterday and we were in consultation with Duana, we kind of decided that it wasn't really a good name for the slide, because if we say there's an end destination, it doesn't actually make sense, because this is a journey, it's a continual journey. And we have to stay cognizant and aware that we're going to have to change continually as the needs of our communities, as the needs of the people who use the mental health services actually change. Our society is changing rapidly, so therefore it absolutely makes sense that we have to change the way we deliver our services and the services that we offer in line with the needs of the communities. Just very briefly, our vision is like the vision for all of the other recovery-oriented initiatives within the service, RE, SRF, mental health engagement, to name just a few. Our vision is to improve the mental health service for those receiving the service and those giving the service. And I'd just like to say a little word or two about those giving the service, because it's the mental health professionals who work day in, day out, work really hard to provide an excellent service, are the people who, I believe, as well as the service users and family members, will benefit from this recovery-oriented perspective. There's something in this for all of us in terms of the way we work. Thank you.
So how do we intend to do this? I suppose we've already made a start. The idea is to increase the participation and the strength of people with lived experience, their families, carers and supporters. So that's about, I suppose, what we're trying to do at the moment is developing forums all over the different areas. And it's not forums or committees for the sake of a talk shop or a complaint service or a support group. It's to turn words into actions and to provide a vehicle for a two-way communication between the management and ourselves to make change to the service. So.
I really like this slide, preparing for an equitable journey. And it demonstrates very clearly that we're all starting from a different place. And it's very easy and very tempting to think that the taller guy there is actually the mental health professional, and the one in the middle might be a family member or a supporter or a carer. And the little fella may be somebody who's actually using the services or needs help. But that's not always the case. Our needs can be different at different stages, and we all need help, and we all need support and capacity building to bring about this change. So what it says to me is that from some perspectives, it may actually be the mental health professional who has to make that bigger adjustment, as Dr. Bowe might have mentioned, her recovery, whose recovery, her notion of what recovery is and a recovery practice. And then we look at equity, and I'd like to hand you over to my colleague here, Catherina, to talk about that part of the slide.
So if we see, we all need a help up at different times, and we're all basically co-producing or helping each other. We can all learn from each other. So it's not just about one group developing capacity. The need is that all the groups develop capacity together, and that we all help each other to, I suppose, provide the best service possible. So, recently we co-developed a training, and one of the people who participated in that training is here today to talk about how she found it and the experience of that. And so I'd like to welcome Elaine up to the stage.
Hi everybody. My name's Elaine Nixon, and I wrote this all down because I'm not too good at kind of freewheeling like the others. But I just want to start by saying I was very fortunate to be part of a very recovery-based mental health team. And it was while I was attending my CBT classes in Raheening with Dr. Kevin O'Hanrahan that he first introduced the idea of me attending a course. The course was on conducting a local forum for the HSC. This forum was to build a platform for service users, family members and carers to present their views and raise issues in order to improve the HSC services. I was apprehensive at first, but I remembered my time coming into the HSC services and the confusion, so I thought if I could do something to help pave the way for others coming after me, then this would be the right opportunity to do so. During the 5-day course, we didn't just learn the techniques to facilitate and assist in forums. We also learned that we each had our own individual strengths and skills. And from learning this, we discovered a lost sense of integrity and purpose within. beyond the limits of disabilities and barriers. The HSE wanted to hear our voice, and over the 5 days of the course, we discovered it again. The course was run by HSE in collaboration with UCD. Our teachers and the speakers who attended were exceptional and inspiring. A lot of time, money and effort had gone into this, and I soon realised the HSE were investing in us because we have something to offer in return. So, with my newly gained confidence in myself and the HSE, when the opportunity of co-production with ARI presented itself in the form of recovery principles and practice workshop, I grabbed it with both hands. Having my local mental health team, Catherina, and Kelly as my cheer squad, I felt supported to take risks and take responsibility for my own recovery. Knowing I was part of this forward thinking in mental health, part of a large social movement, I felt empowered and determined. I completed the 3-day ARI course and discovered I had the skills to become a facilitator. I was able to contribute along and work with everyone else, and was surprised and proud of myself. Being accepted and supported as an individual with my own strengths has given me the opportunity to avail of the training offered by the HSE, and in turn stand up here today hopeful and knowing that I'm trying my best because I am being heard, I am believed in, I am being encouraged, I am being treated equally, I am inspired, I am respected, I am recovery.
Thank you, Elaine. So in the work of mental health engagement, I suppose part of it is that we are maybe challenging at times the status quo or established norms. Sometimes things are done just because they've always been done that way. But we also are on a tightrope between the management in services and then trying to have a pace of change that can keep people in the local forum engaged and involved. So that requires bravery from everybody involved and a sense of sticking with it, I suppose. Our open invitation to you is to try and get involved in this new movement. Some of it's not new, actually. But to encourage people to attend a local forum meeting. There's strength in numbers. If there are more Davids, then Goliath has to listen all the more. So I would like now to invite James as our last speaker just to tell us a little bit about his lived experience. If you could give him a warm welcome.
Hi everyone. I've been a service user for 11 years. 11 years ago I was teaching abroad in London when I first started hearing voices for the first time. I didn't know where they were emanating from. I became inundated with these voices and gradually they became more prevalent. Couldn't cope with the situation, had to return home to Ireland. I was admitted to Lakeview unit in Ace Hospital and I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. For me now talking about it, it's a distressing experience, but it's a form of catharsis because releasing the words helped me cope with negative thoughts that manifest themselves. I've encountered a lot of stigma along the way. I think people fear what they don't understand. I think using labels can be very debilitating. They can rob people of hope. For me, the most important aspect of recovery is hope. As an knowledge facilitator, I was dealing with other service users, and a common sentiment was looking to the past with anger and regret. My only answer to that is, forget about the past, look to the future, have aims, aspirations, and above all, have hope. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
So just to wrap up, we're going to be killed because we have ran over a little bit. We would just like to thank especially James, Elaine and Rita for their powerful stories today, and Neil with us who gives ongoing support, and to those who share their experiences and stories around the country to effect change. Thank you.